There. All right, we are live. You are looking live in my library. I have a library in my house. Welcome to the YouTube live stream. As we open it up, thanks for everybody. Wait for a couple people to get inside. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a beautiful Hanukkah if you celebrated and you observed and you're getting ready for Christmas, which should be a great Christmas. I hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas. Let's load this up, start letting your friends, let everybody know we're in here. Obviously, we want to be live, but then we also shoot this out. We make some reels and we get this rolling. Got a lot to get to here. I think this is going to be a big one. This is an exciting YouTube that we're doing tonight, live stream, because the NFL is winding down. We only have a few more left. So for this year, at least, and then we're going to get going into the playoffs, the Super Bowl, everybody else. Get in that chat. Let us know you're here by getting into the chat. Want to see where you're at with that. So kind of line up in the chat when you get in there. Let me know. You can hear everything. We sound good. The voice quality is good and all that because I have my son tech support here right now. And he's going to make sure we sound good as we recap the NFL and get ready for what is a huge week coming up. Just a massive week in the NFL. Make or break in the NFL this week coming up. We got games Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Christmas. So with all that, Carol says, John, tech support spot on tonight. Main V, everything good. Good. That's what I'm excited to hear because, look, I'm a radio guy. When you're on the radio, everything's perfect. I mean, the sounds, the buttons, the producers, the headsets, everything's perfect when you work from home. My wife is making her famous Christmas toffee. Legendary. She's making that now in the kitchen. So the whole house smells like toffee, chocolate, getting that going. Tonight's wine, featured wine, is the Noble Wines 337. Now, I want you to get this wine. Again, we talk about the good stuff, right? This is the good stuff and a good house wine. The type of wine you could have when you want one or two glasses during the holiday. And if you have friends over, you want to pour something a little bit nicer, you break out the good stuff. I got the wine room in the other room. If you want to have something around the house, like when you're doing your YouTube live stream, it'll be the 337. Now, I'm going to put it back for a second because I don't want to spill it. We're going to put it right here under the sports tree, right? Right here under the sports tree. So now we're back. Anybody having a beverage? We're brought to you by Modelo, the number one beer in America, the fighting spirit of Modelo. Thanks to the whole team at Modelo for being a proud partner, not only in my radio show in Vegas, but of this podcast. And when you're in the podcast world, if you don't have subscribers, you're not going to get advertisers, right? So you have to get people to build this thing out. And we're going to take our time with it. I'm doing it 1 or 2 nights a week. I did it today on my local show on Raider Nation Radio. I'm doing it tonight. And we got to do more of this. I got to get up to 3 nights a week. And with 9 radio shows a week, I'm trying to get a couple of live streams going, and it's tough. But Tuesday night seems to work well for us, and we're excited about that. And then we'll start dropping them in the morning. Maybe we'll do it on a Sunday morning before the games and all that. Because the Raiders don't play Sunday. They play Monday on Christmas, but I'm probably not going to do anything on Christmas Eve. You know, on Christmas Eve, I like to put the phone away and really lock in to what the holiday is. But other than that, I seem to always be on my phone and always be talking sports and doing things I shouldn't be doing. Other than when I watch movies and I read, that's when I put my phone down. My son tells me tonight we're going to do a Week 15 recap. 49ers roll, the Mayfield miracle, and the Bills playoff run. Let me let my guys know and check it out. The YouTube live stream, I'm tweeting it out. Live stream now. And we're going to get into the Bills because the Bills are a big deal right now, everybody. I really think the Bills are unbelievable the way they're playing. And I'm going to be talking the Bills throughout this, and I love the win that they just had. So we got the wine going, the 337. Happy holidays. And we got a lot to cover here, so let me jump right in and get going. Okay, first off, the biggest game was Dallas at the Bills. And I thought that I picked Dallas to win the Super Bowl. I am not backing down. Any gutless person could back down. When you pick your Super Bowl pick in the preseason, you can't change your mind. Then no one would have a Super Bowl pick. So this year I had the Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are out, but maybe they're not. Look at the way Browning's playing for Cincinnati. They're playing great. And they're going to the playoffs. So they have a puncher's chance. But I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. It'd be easy to jump off the bandwagon and get in there and go with the 49ers. Philadelphia lost to Seattle last night. I'll get to that game in a minute. But I'm going to stick with the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys go into Buffalo and get blown out. It was wet. It was just gross there in Buffalo. And again, I got a lot of my buddies who are season ticket holders to the Buffalo Bills. And if you go there and you have a beautiful night with no wind and no rain and no snow, and it could be snowing and be beautiful. But those are one of those nights in Buffalo that are just awful to be a part of. Wet, cold, rain. So I don't put it on Dallas to have to win that game. Give me a break. It's a non-conference game. It's not a must-win game. The Cowboys are already in the playoffs. The Bills have to win the game. It's a make-or-break game for the Bills. Make or break. So with all that happening, Dallas did not have to win that game. But when they gave up over, what was it? Someone help me, 226 yards rushing Buffalo had, and Buffalo ran it down their throat, and Dallas didn't want to fight in the fourth quarter, and Dallas didn't want to tackle. Whoa, that got my attention. What's going on here, Dallas? You want to get on the plane? You want to leave at halftime? You're getting your butt kicked, and you have no intention to tackle. That's a concern. That's the first time I could say that about the Cowboys all year. I thought the Cowboys all year, their stats at home are amazing. Of course, they're better at home in a dome in Arlington than they are on the road. But they had a bad loss to Arizona, and they had a bad loss to Buffalo. But I'm giving them a mulligan on the Bills loss. The Bills had to win. Dallas did not. But my big takeaway in that game was Mike McCarthy was having a cup of cocoa or tea or something on the sidelines. I've never seen that before. I've been watching football for 50 years. I've never seen a coach holding a hot, steamy cup of cocoa or coffee or whatever that was. And then his team doesn't want to tackle, and the defense is getting bludgeoned. Ooh, that was a concern for me. So for the Dallas Cowboys, I didn't like their body language. Didn't care so much about the loss. It wasn't make or break. But the little things in that game that you could tell they checked out. I saw a team quit the other night live. The Chargers quit when the Raiders beat them 63-21. Yeah, 63. And other than Khalil Mack, everybody quit in that game for the Chargers. I thought the Dallas in that game in Buffalo had a little bit of quit in them. I didn't like the way they finished that game. So now Buffalo's right back in the hunt. But Buffalo needs a little bit of help, right? And I think they're going to get it. Cleveland had a huge win, massive win for Joe Burrow, and that Hail Mary, that Fail Mary at the end of the game could have hit, and Cleveland could have lost that game. That was incredible. So Cleveland picked up another win. Cincinnati picked up another win. Miami destroyed the Jets. What a fraud the Jets are. The Bills won. Kansas City won. I mean, who am I forgetting out of all these playoff teams? Oh, Jacksonville, again, didn't show. Jacksonville was a no-show. Absolute no-show for Jacksonville at home. They were pathetic in that game. But most of the AFC won. And if you're chasing and trying to get into the playoffs in the AFC, that was not a good Sunday for you. Case in point, the Raiders, other teams, the Steelers, as we mentioned, the teams that want to get in, maybe get a miracle and get that 7 seed. That was not a good day with all the other AFC teams winning. So I'm going to stay with Dallas to win the Super Bowl. Dallas can beat anybody anywhere. Anywhere. To say, well, they lost in Santa Clara. They lost in Buffalo. Who cares? That wasn't an elimination game. That was a regular season game. If Buffalo has to play in Philly or Detroit or Santa Clara, the Cowboys are good enough to win in those venues. They are. They're good enough. They got Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, an unbelievable defense, Micah Parsons. They're good enough to win anywhere. But a lot of people are going to say they can't do it because they couldn't do it in the regular season. The original Surfer Bob says my dark horse to win the NFC are the LA Rams. Dead serious. Hey, Rams are playing great. Rams look completely locked in. They know their personnel, Aaron Donald and the rest of the defense, but the offense with a healthy Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, I mean, they're playing well. The Rams are looking like a real good team now. So I like the way they're playing. But the first thing I wanted to lead off with was the Dallas Cowboys. On a scale of 1 to 10, I put that loss in Buffalo at about a 3 because it was a non-conference game. It wasn't the end of the world. They didn't play well. Weather was a factor. But I was very surprised that Mike McCarthy and just the body language of Dallas sucked in that game. They didn't look like a team knocking on the door for the Super Bowl. They looked like a team that wanted to get home and get a blanket and get under the covers and get out of Buffalo. And that's not good. So remember that. Because when Dallas, if they don't win the Super Bowl and they come up short, I'm not going to make any excuses. But I'm definitely going to bring up that performance in Buffalo and what I saw with their body language. All right, Philadelphia lost last night on Monday Night Football to Seattle. Wow, what a game for Drew Lock. What a speech. What a conversation afterwards with Lisa Salters. I want to give a shout out to Lisa Salters because a lot of people ripped on Carissa Thompson and Erin Andrews and people that say, and Erin didn't say this, but Carissa did. And I like Carissa, worked with her. I think she's a great person. But a lot of times a sideline reporter, male or female, let's be careful here, male or female, they don't tell you much. They give you Captain Obvious shit. They just tell you the basics. Lisa Salters did an interview with Drew Lock after he went 92 yards and won that game. It was beautiful. I mean, it was fantastic. As Drew Lock really told the story of him waiting on the sidelines for this opportunity again, how he loved the atmosphere, helped get Geno ready, had his chance, and he led a whole entire stadium and fan base to a victory. So as Philadelphia was playing in that game, a couple of things for the Eagle fans. Right out of the gate, you could tell that the Eagles were the better team, but Jalen Hurts was sick. He was sick all week, and he had to fly on his own to get to Seattle. That is not an easy flight. Raise your hand and beep your horn if you ever flew to Seattle and you did it from Florida or New Jersey or Toronto, wherever it is. It's far to get to. Jalen Hurts did it on his own to be there and be a game time decision, and he played. So he wasn't at 100%. And Philadelphia had a lead. I thought it was great that the officials called Jason Kelce on moving the ball, the center, moving the ball up a half a yard. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's against the rules. The tush push is only for a yard. Let me do a yard and a half. And Kelsey's taking the ball and going like this. He's moving it a half a yard. Are you kidding me? And he's been doing it forever. He's a great center. It's the job of the ref not to forgive you if you're offsides. Kadarius Toney, Jason Kelce, if you move the football or you move your foot or your body into the neutral zone, it's a penalty. It's an infraction. So we saw that. So that's going to be interesting going forward because no one seems to be able to stop the tush push. But now the refs are watching as Kelce leans over the ball with his big beard and he takes it and he moves it half a yard. I'm not talking half an inch. He moves it 6 inches. So that's going to stop, and that's a good thing. But Drew Lock on that final drive was so fantastic that he was throwing it to DK Metcalf. And Matt Patricia, now the defensive coordinator who's calling offense a year before, what was that? How the hell wasn't Philadelphia in a too high shell with the safeties? How was some receivers in one-on-one coverage, including DK Metcalf? You drop everyone back. It's Drew Lock. It's Drew Lock. You don't play press man coverage. You play zone. And you make them run by you, and you have a two-safety shell. And Philadelphia's defense, what a shit show that was for Philadelphia. Philadelphia lost both their safeties from last year. Their offense and defensive coordinator, you don't think that's affected Philadelphia? It has. So Philadelphia lets Drew Lock go 92 yards, and then Smith and Jigba makes that beautiful catch. Drew Lock put it right there. and they end up winning the game. So as the game was going on, I was tweeting at JT the Brick. I looked ahead at the schedule of Seattle. I said, if they lose this game, they're done. It's a pure elimination game. They lose, they go to 6-8. It's over. Done. If they win, they go to 7-7 in their final 3 games. They're going to be favored in all 3. So Drew Lock not only saved the game, he saved the season. And they got a chance now, if Gino's groin's good to go, that they can win 10 games and sneak into the playoffs. The Rams, the last team in the NFC, that's going to either be Baker Mayfield, who I'll get to in a minute, or Derek Carr in New Orleans. One of those teams could get knocked out. And depending on who wins the NFC South, the other team's not going to get in if the Seahawks and the Rams are getting in. So that was a really big deal. Congratulations to the 12s. And watching that game was just amazing. Just amazing to see that. So if you're a Seahawk fan and you want to jump in on this, I want to hear about that, because while Philadelphia lost, who was that good for? Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, right? They didn't lose a game to Philadelphia, and Dallas lost at Buffalo. So you had Dallas lose at Buffalo, Philly lose at the Seahawks. Big deal. And who rejoiced? Niner Empire, the Niner fans. So now I get to the Niners. And again, for those who just got in here, appreciate it. Do me a favor and send out a text. Let people know we're on YouTube now. We got better shows than the shows on the radio. Wink, wink. I won't mention them, but this YouTube thing is going to get going. It's going to get going big, and you're going to be the first people I thank along the way. So the Niners win in a walkover game. Basically a bye week the Niners had, but the Niners deserve it. So now the Niners are in a situation where they have 2 MVP candidates, maybe 3. If you look at their defense, you got to think of Bosa, Ward in the secondary. The Niners not only have 1 or 2 pieces, they got 4 or 5 pieces. Warner, what they have in that defense is incredible. But the MVP race is going to come down to Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. So I'd like you to put in the chat for the Niner fans, who would you vote for right now? If we were looking at, you can come in and show your face, man. You're doing this deal there. There he is. He's our tech support. That's my son, John, who just graduated from Oklahoma and is kicking ass. So the Niners have Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy fighting for the MVP award. Normally that award goes to the quarterback, but I think the running back's going to win it this year. I think he's having an unbelievable year because he's a pass-catching running back, and that's important. He's not just running the ball like Derrick Henry. He's catching the ball. And Derrick Henry doesn't do that at that level. And after the game, Brock Purdy was praising Christian McCaffrey for the MVP. So I never thought Purdy would ever be an MVP because he's Mr. Irrelevant. And he lost 3 games in a row this year. Let me remind the Niner fans who are here, including Joe Gould. You said Purdy's MVP because we don't want to see Darnold. Okay, listen, Purdy is MVP, but Purdy lost 3 games this year. They lost 3 in a row. Let's not forget that. It's a regular season award at that point in time. I don't think Dallas lost 3 in a row. Other great teams have not lost 3 in a row. We can't forget that because it's convenient to Niner fans. Can't forget the 3 losses in a row. But Purdy's been superb. And normally a quarterback will win that award. But I would like to see this come down to the wire. And Dak Prescott lost the MVP in Buffalo. You can't give him the MVP after that Buffalo performance. He's playing for the top seed in the NFC and the division, and the team doesn't show up in Buffalo. That's not MVP category. Now, as I say all this, I want to make another point, more so baseball than football. The record shouldn't matter for the MVP award. If you've been listening to me for 20 years or 20 minutes, I say this all the time. The MVP award is an individual award. It's a stat. It's home runs, RBIs. In hockey, it's goals and assists. Connor McDavid, Ovechkin. It's not how many times they got back on defense and had an unbelievable defensive stop. No, it's goals and assists. In football, it's touchdowns and yards, right? So if you throw for 4,000, 5,000 yards, you have 50 touchdowns, you win the MVP. You don't have to be on the first place team. It doesn't say anything in the bylaws of the MVP that you got to win 13 games or more. Now, if you win 3 or 4, you're probably not going to win, but it's a stat. And as I look at Dak, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, and Brock Purdy, I don't care who's won more games. They're all going to the playoffs. So that is the category. They're all in. Who's the best out of all of them? You know, Tyreek Hill just missed that game against the Jets. That's a big deal because Tyreek Hill in that game could have had 13 catches for 160 yards. The Jets suck. I'll get to the Jets. And Tyreek Hill misses a game because they're thinking about the playoffs more so than a Jet game, which is smart. So if I had a vote tonight, which I don't, I'd vote for Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy. I'd go McCaffrey first because I love the way he's running inside, outside, and I love how he's catching the ball outside, inside. And let's not forget, as Benny Jett, the man who's done more for my career than any caller who's now become a friend, he says Jared Goff takes the Lions to the Super Bowl. He deserves MVP. No, Benny, it has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. It's a regular season award. Nothing to do with the Super Bowl. All Jared Goff has to do down the stretch here is put up 3 games and try to get to another 1,000 yards, right? 400 yards, 300 yards, 300 yards. And Goff, whose last game was 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, he's got a chance to do it. Chad Valdez, hey, JT, all good. Great teams will have a couple to short few losses or bad games. They're limited, brother. Merry Christmas. Look, again, I don't think the MVP is about wins and losses. It's not. It's about stats. Andre Dawson won the MVP for the Cubs on a last-place team. He's the best player. The best player gets the MVP award. So it's going to be a nice debate down the stretch. I really do. Ace Boogie says 3 losses hurt Purdy. They did, but Purdy plays now on the best team in football, and that's going to help him down the stretch. So, all right, John, what did we hit on? We hit on Dallas losing to Buffalo, Purdy, MVP. Baker. Oh, Baker. Give me the brick bat. Where's the bat, man? The bat around here? I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. I just want to show you this. One of our listeners' callers made me this. Look at this. Every Yankee World Championship and every Yankee Hall of Famer. Look at that. Yogi, right? Look at the Roger Maris there. These are Yankee Hall of Famers. The Hammer of God, Mariano Rivera. Derek Jeter, my guy, Thurman Munson, all the championships. I mean, I made a lot of friends, man, on radio. Just got the big brick bat, man. Look at that. Look at that. So Baker Mayfield, my son who's over here went to Oklahoma, and Baker won the Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma. So I got a special place in my heart for Baker. When Baker was running around Oklahoma, did he get drunk? Did he run from the cops? Yeah, he's in college. You wouldn't believe what I did in college. You wouldn't believe what I did in college. So I didn't hold that against Baker. Baker got married at a young age. Remember, he's doing all those Progressive commercials in Cleveland. Progressive Insurance. He lived in the stadium. Great kid. Never got arrested. Never disrespected women. And some clowns on the radio made fun of him because he wore his hat backwards. Really? That's what we're getting to? Criticizing guy for hats and the length of their hair. Whatever. Baker's got a statue at Oklahoma, and he's got a Heisman Trophy. He got drafted by one of the worst teams in the history of professional sports, the Cleveland Browns. That wasn't Baker's fault. Ben Roethlisberger went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. How would Big Ben have done if he got drafted by Cleveland when he got drafted? How would Tom Brady have done if he didn't get drafted by Belichick and Kraft and went to Cleveland? Probably would have did really well, but he wouldn't have 7 Super Bowls. So Baker finally got out of jail in Cleveland where he won a playoff game and beat the Steelers. And he goes to Tampa and no one thinks he's going to do anything. And Baker Mayfield is the only quarterback in the history of the world to be perfect at Lambeau Field as an opposing quarterback. So let's talk about this for a second. I'm fascinated by history. All the quarterbacks who ever played at Lambeau Field, let's go over a few. Road quarterbacks, let's guess a few. Johnny Unitas, Dan Fouts, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes just played his first game ever there and lost. Okay, look at all those quarterbacks, the greatest to ever play. They were never rated as high as Baker Mayfield once. How is that possible? Now, the greatest quarterbacks in Green Bay history are easy. It's Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers, and before that, Brett Favre. So let's put them aside. They're home quarterbacks. And you're telling me in the history of this league, 100 years, dating back to leather helmets, Baker Mayfield is all-time number one, all-time at Lambeau Field, which is a living, breathing NFL museum. And Baker comes through and keeps Tampa Bay in charge of the NFC South. How much credit do you want to give him there? Joe comes in and says, Baker is not elite. He's good. I didn't say he was elite, Joe. I said he had the greatest game ever played by a road quarterback. Hey, Joe, if Baker was sitting in your house tonight having a glass of wine, he could walk into your kitchen and say, no quarterback that's ever lived did what I did. That's pretty good. And hey, Joe, here's my Heisman Trophy. And hey, Joe, here's my Oklahoma MVP in the bowl game. Hey, Joe, here's me taking the Oklahoma flag and sticking it to Ohio State. I mean, he's done some good things. Sticking it to Texas in the Red River rivalry. So I just wanted to say, as Baker Mayfield catches shit from everybody, I want to make sure we talk about this on this live stream, that Baker Mayfield had one of the greatest games ever played in the place where you would want to play the greatest game ever on the road as a quarterback. If you ever played baseball in the World Series and you could hit a home run one place, where would it be? Yankee Stadium, probably old Yankee Stadium. But Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs in a World Series in Yankee Stadium, and they donned him Mr. October. Congrats to Baker Mayfield for doing that. That was absolutely incredible. All right, so on the NFL, a couple of make or break games here, as I'm taking a look at some of them here. So give me a second as we look around here. John, I want to minimize this and then bring it back again. Let me get to Wager Talk. I don't know where you guys look at your live odds. I go to Wager Talk. I think it's the easiest one to look at and get faster with all the casinos here in Vegas. And just a couple of games. Like when we give picks. Remember, I work in the NFL. I don't gamble. I've never gambled, but I talk to more gamblers than anyone you know. I talk to a lot of gamblers, not only in Vegas, but on the radio. So I think I know what I'm talking about on this. Rams 4-point favorite at home against New Orleans. That's a big one. That's an elimination game. Winner move forward, loser go home. I think Derek Carr, I got that one wrong. I thought Derek Carr was going to have an easy road in the NFC South, win the division by 2 or 3 games. I think the Rams win that game, but they don't cover the spread. Buffalo's a 12.5-point favorite at the Chargers. Chargers got a new interim head coach. Normally you get the interim head coach bounce. Antonio Pierce got it. I saw Rich Bisaccia get it there. So I'll Buffalo winning, but the Chargers covering the spread. I think the Jacksonville-Tampa Bay game's a big one. This is the really important pick. It opened up Jacksonville minus 2.5. Now it's Tampa. Oh, it's a pick'em. Pick'em game. DraftKings has Jacksonville minus 1. We'll play it at a pick'em. I think Tampa Bay wins that game. Jacksonville was just gutless the other night at home. Man, Jacksonville had a full house. Another opportunity, and Baltimore came in and gave it to them. I have no confidence in Jacksonville right now. All my confidence is on Tampa Bay. And then the big one, Dallas-Miami. I've told you all year I picked Dallas to win the Super Bowl. Miami's a 1.5-point favorite. I think Dallas goes into Miami and wins in a shootout with Tua. I'll go Dallas 31, Miami 28. I got Dallas winning. What's the total on that game? Find that total for you quick. Total is 51. Yeah, I like Dallas to win outright on the money line, and I like that to go over the total. So that's a couple of picks that I want to give there. Let's see if the live stream is right here. All right.
About the IST, Lakers in the in-season.
There, you're very good, son. Very good. Hold on.
The IST.
Okay, Chad. JT Dak has not lost the MVP. Yes, he has, Chad. He lost the MVP. That pathetic performance in Buffalo, he lost the MVP. Sorry. Chad, you must not watch the 49ers. They're on television. They're on the red zone. Go watch the Niners and tell me how Dak is going to get the MVP. And Mick Flair checks in, the greatest roadie of all time with my buddy Tony Cambo up at the Fillmore. Mick's a big Niner fan. Appreciate him popping in here. How the hell did the Lakers hang a championship banner for the in-season tournament after winning 7 games? How do you hang a banner anywhere near the number 24 and 8 of Kobe Bryant? How do you take an in-season tournament of 7 games where you don't beat the Celtics in the final, you beat the Indiana Pacers, and you hang a banner next to the likes of Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Kareem took a big fall, broke his hip. We wish Kareem well. It's a serious injury for a man his age. So my son says, hey, Dad, if the Knicks won, you would have hung a banner too. No, I don't think the Knicks would have hung that banner at Madison Square Garden. But at Madison Square Garden, they have a banner for Billy Joel. They have a banner for Fish, the rock band. No, I think they have one for Taylor Swift too, actually. Yeah, but my Knicks don't hang banners.
Because they don't win.
Right, they don't win. But if they did win,
You would hang the banner.
no, there's a video of Kobe where Kobe says, we don't hang Division and Western Conference Finals. And that was Kobe ripping on the Utah Jazz back in the day. If you remember Jerry Sloan and Karl Malone and Stockton, they couldn't win. Remember they lost to Jordan with Greg Ostertag? And when they couldn't win, they would hang their Western Conference banners. You want to hang an Eastern or Western Conference banner, I'm cool with that. But an in-season tournament? So jump on in here, buddy, everybody. How bad did that look for the Lakers? Because here's the problem with the banner. The Lakers did a pregame presentation, and they acted like God was coming back from the rafters. They had this unbelievable banner, and they unveiled it. And I said, holy shit, they're putting that banner next to their championship banners? They're putting that banner next to the banners that were won, beating the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird? They didn't go 17-0. They didn't win 40 games. They went 7-0 in an in-season tournament where no one knew what anybody was playing for. It was a load management tournament. It was built on the premise that players don't play hard in the beginning of the year. How many games did LeBron take off after they won the NBA Cup? Right, John? He didn't play the next day or the day after that. Yeah, he didn't play versus the Spurs one day. Well, he would have played that game if it was for the NBA Cup. Yeah, he did because the NBA Cup was built to get guys from quitting and load managing early in the season. Look, you want to do life's short, man. It's a good example of that, Kobe Bryant. Life is short. You want to hang a banner and have some happiness and pop some champagne. I get it. It's just something I wouldn't do, man. I'm a hardcore sports fan. I love sports. I don't hang banners for the in-season tournament. You don't see banners up here for an in-season tournament here in my house. I would never do that. Unbelievable. George Meza or Jorge, if LeBron didn't win, nobody would have hung the banner, I promise you. Well, I'll tell you, you're onto something, my friend, because I think Adam Silver made the Lakers. They made the Lakers hang that banner. And Jeannie Buss, who I like, she married my friend Jay Moore. She probably was cool with it too. But if you're the Lakers or the Celtics, that's a good topic for the chat. Who are the only teams that wouldn't hang an in-season tournament banner? I'll go first, the Celtics. You think the Celtics would hang that banner next to Bill Russell, Hondo Havlicek, and Larry Bird? Ask yourself this. If Magic Johnson, if Kobe was alive, or Larry Bird was asked by the commissioner, hey, to play in an in-season tournament, they would have said, get the hell out of here. Get out of my locker room. I ain't playing in no in-season tournament. But we need to do that now to bring in the younger demographic and to stop load management. That brings me to another topic, man. Did you hear what Shaquille O'Neal said tonight about Draymond Green? He said that Draymond Green doesn't need therapy. Well, I mean, I don't mock therapy, but it's going to sound like it. I've never been to therapy. Probably should be. but I've never sat down and talked about issues. And Shaq kind of made that point that Draymond Green, the NBA put him in therapy. The Warriors put him in therapy because he's an aggressive NBA basketball player who threw a swirling punch and punched his own teammate. What he did to Jordan Poole was pathetic. He punched a teammate, and Steve Kerr didn't have the balls to do anything. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they're in fear of Draymond Green. If those guys had the guts, they would have said, Draymond, you're going to sit for 10 games. You just punched our teammate. And Jordan Poole is a really good talent and just needed good coaching because, man, he could play when he got to the Warriors. They shipped him out of town for Draymond. So the debate on Draymond getting therapy or not, I don't know. I don't know what he's like at home. Everybody, my friend Stephen A., Shaq said it tonight, Draymond's an unbelievable guy off the court. He probably, I don't know Draymond, but I've covered his career. But Draymond's selfish. He's violent. He definitely has anger management issues. And you have to go to therapy if you're an athlete and you have anger. If you play at a very intense level, did Bill Laimbeer go to therapy? I don't know. Did the bad boy Pistons? I think Dennis Rodman ended up going to therapy, but I don't know if he did while he was an NBA player. So Draymond Green's not available and he's healthy. He's not injured for his teammates. That's the worst thing you can do as a teammate in sports is not be available. Remember last year before we started the stream, I was all over Kyrie Irving. He's a knucklehead. He's a bad teammate because Kyrie Irving, and a lot of it had to do with COVID initially, and we're past COVID and why he didn't want to get vaccinated and all that. We're not going to do that here. But he wasn't available for his teammates on some pretty good teams. That Brooklyn team was supposed to be a pretty good team. Kyrie ended up quitting on the Celtics. I think Kyrie is a terrible teammate. By the way, John, has anybody heard about Kyrie Irving this year? He plays with Luka. I'm not joking. I don't watch every NBA game, but I do as a sports talk host see the highlights. I don't remember seeing one Kyrie Irving highlight this year. I've seen Damian Lillard. I've seen LeBron, Anthony Davis, Luka. Kyrie Irving's irrelevant as a player now. Bad teammate. And Draymond's a bad teammate. So Benny says therapy won't fix him in 10 games. That's a good point, Jet. Yeah. What is therapy going to do 10 games in the NBA? It's not going to do much. And one other baseball topic, I threw out a tweet. Yamamoto. Mick, you're going to like this. The Asian sensation, not Ohtani, the other one, Yamamoto, I think should go to the San Francisco Giants or the Mets. I'd love everyone to go to my Yankees, of course. But the Yankees got Garrett Cole, who won the Cy Young, and the Yankees got Juan Soto. And they're going to have to pay him $450 million. And Ohtani ends up going to the Dodgers, but most of his money is deferred. And the next night or two, Yamamoto is going to have to choose between most likely the Mets and the Giants. And both of those cities, New York and San Francisco, have a massive Asian population. Massive. San Francisco is the gateway to the Pacific Rim. It's a 5-hour shorter flight, even on a private jet, to get from Tokyo, anywhere in Japan, to LA compared to New York or San Francisco. I think that's a big deal when you get an off weekend or your family wants to come and friends want to see you. I think that means something. It does. But the Mets need Yamamoto more than anything because the Mets haven't done anything this offseason. What have the Mets done? The Yankees got Soto, and the Dodgers went out and got the great Ohtani. Who the hell are the Mets if they can't get anybody? Everybody claims that Steve Cohen's such a winner. You better go sign someone if you're a Met fan. So I think the best fit for Yamamoto would be San Francisco. Because don't the Giants have to have the money? They do, and the ability to compete with the Dodgers? If the Giants don't make that move, and the Giants missed out on Aaron Judge and Soto and Bryce Harper and others, the Giants aren't going to compete against the Dodgers. And the San Francisco Giant fans are smarter than you think. They're going to say, I'm not going to the ballpark in August and September if we're 12 games back. And we're not going to catch Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Ohtani, Clayton Kershaw, and the Dodgers, and they're going to check out. I think this is a big signing coming up for the Mets or the Giants. And if he ends up with the Yankees, the Dodgers, or the Cubs, we'll talk about it coming up here. The chat's rocking, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I've always said when you're on the internet, you're on a stream, people meet each other online, and maybe some radio friends could be made. I've made a lot of friends on sports radio. I look at the guys who are in there that I've met personally, Mick and Benny, and so many other good friends over the years. Sports radio's changed my life. It has, for the best. Made a lot of good friends. Don't care about the other part of the business. I don't care for most of the program directors, and I worked for a few good ones. I care about the sales staff. I love the producers and the board ops, but most importantly, it's been the listeners that I get a chance to meet and then have a friendship with. So I'm hoping we can do that with this platform, is get more and more people coming in there. My buddy Benny Jet's got this really big Facebook page. Benny Jet, go find him on Facebook, man. He does the coffee, the 10 o'clock coffee. They do a night where they talk about cars and music. Music Mondays we used to do. We used to have military night. Jump in the chat and tell me if you remember military night. For 10 years, 10 years, we spoke to a member, a woman or a man in harm's way in Iraq or Afghanistan, Qatar, over the years, South Korea. We were able to take calls because of Armed Forces Radio. Man, that's something I miss. That was a really cool time back in the day when we were able to do that. Just fantastic. But again, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I will jump on before New Year's again. We'll do that. And we're trying to build this up because I'll be honest with you, certain nights I need to be on the radio and I'm not going to get pissed off about it. I'm not going to talk politics and who's on and who's not. I've done it all already, man. I've done it all on nighttime radio. No one has been on more stations and talked to more people at night than I have. And I think we can get this thing going on YouTube. Talk to my buddy Damon Bruce about it, and he's got 10,000 subscribers. And we'll get to 2 and get to 4 and get to 10 and hopefully 20, but it's going to take some time. And I am not a patient man. I am not a patient man. So let's get the algorithm going. Let's share this with everybody. Let's have a place where we can come together on YouTube and have this stream. And subscribe, because a lot of people are coming in here and they're enjoying this content, but they're not subscribing. So all you got to do is hit subscribe, and then you'll get all the alerts coming in. And if you like what you see, share it on whatever social media platform that you have. All right, I'm going to finish off this 337 glass. Maybe have a cigar on a Tuesday night. I enjoy the holidays at home because it's a good time to kick back, be with family, relax. We don't shut down in sports because we have NFL and we have college bowl games. So we don't shut down. But a lot of people take vacation. A lot of people are off. You'll catch me more on Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. And my show every day is on Raider Nation Radio. It's not just the Raiders show. I talk sports. And if you download the Raiders mobile app, you can just click on the radio and listen to that live. So that's it. Thank you to my son. Shout out to my son. Shout out to my sports Christmas tree. The other one's in there. What else do we have here that we could show people? Hold on. Let's see if this works for a second. There, we got some. Yeah, look at that. Got the Jim Brown helmet. Got the Illinois helmet over there. Got the Raiders in the Hall of Fame. We got Modelo. How cool is that? That's a Mike Ditka signed helmet. That's a ball that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave to me when I was with my mentor, Andrew Ashwood. And you see that plaque over there? It's the Black Hole, the first ever member of the Black Hole to be inducted into the Black Hole Hall of Fame. And that other picture there is my son who's here when he was small with John Wooden. We got some cool stuff around the house here. Let me put this back here if I can. And that's it. How good is this, man? We haven't mastered it yet, but mash the like button from Just Win 74. Hardcore Wednesday. And I thank you all for joining us tonight. Wow, Damon's at 14,000 now. Giants Niner fan. That's good for Damon. I give him my best. Damon's a good friend of mine. I wish him nothing but success. So that's it, everybody. Merry Christmas. I'll probably talk to you after Christmas. And thanks for joining me on the live stream. Be safe and have a great holiday.